Hello, guys. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Vincent Viviers, and as he alluded to, actually, my name in French is Vincent Viviers, which I think sounds way fancier than Vincent Viviers, so let's go with that one. It's really great to be here today. I was reflecting this morning on when my entrepreneurial journey really started, and I realized it started well before bottles, actually. I remember in junior school, I was selling chips already, and I don't know if some of you might be too young, but I remember VHSs. I did a movie showing on a Thursday afternoon in the hall with a VHS that we rented for, I think, about 10 Rand at the time, and sold tickets for 2 Rand each to try to raise money to go on school trips. So I realized from a very young age already I was an entrepreneur. But then I studied at UCT. I did a business science degree in marketing, because I figured that was the easiest of the business science degrees, and who knows what marketing is anyway. And post that, I went and worked at Unilever for several years, and there I really got to hone my craft and really learn some of the tools and processes and structures that were very important for me to learn before I could start my own business. From Unilever, I was fortunate to go and work at Google, where I really developed a passion for marketing and digital marketing in today's age, and this is something that I'm still quite passionate about. And then I had this urging desire to want to start my own business. And for the startups in the room here, you all know that desire, and you're all crazy for having that desire, as am I. But it's what drives us, and I think it's an important thing. So that's a little bit about who I am. In 2016, myself and my co-founder Enrico started a business called Bottles, the alcohol delivery app. And the insight really was, who hasn't wanted to press a button and have drinks magically appear, right? And within 60 minutes. Little did we know at the time that we were actually starting what was the first on-demand shopping app in the country, not just an alcohol delivery app, right? To take you back to 2016, at this stage, Mr. Delivery was still a menu that lived on your fridge, where you'd page through the menus of the restaurants and you'd phone the restaurant to get a delivery. Uber Eats didn't even exist yet. So it was a very, very different time to where we are today, and the ecosystem of apps and delivery and things that we know today. So yeah, that was what we did. And we were disrupting an industry that had not been disrupted for years, right? The alcohol industry, a massive industry in South Africa, had not been disrupted. So we were bringing technology to be able to, as I said, press a button and have drinks magically appear. I think it was also answering another big challenge for us, which was drinking and driving. And we knew drinking and driving in South Africa was a big problem, and we thought, well, this is a solution that can also help that. Because for us, where the idea actually came from is we were at a braai, we'd had a couple of drinks, and we couldn't go to the bottle store. We couldn't actually get into our car and drive to a bottle store to get drinks. And in that moment, we thought, well, imagine there was an app that could just bring you drinks right now, right? So that's kind of how the idea started. And after starting it and bootstrapping it, like many of you have yourselves, we had full-time jobs. Myself and my co-founder, I was at Google at the time. He was running a digital agency in Joburg. And we were trying to run this thing on the side, right? I remember, just to give you kind of some context, we came up with the idea. We had to find some developers, and we went and found developers. They told us it was going to take 6 months to build this app, 3 months to build it to 95%, another 3 months of testing, and then we'd be ready to launch. There's one thing I've learned in my 5 odd years of being in a tech startup, is take whatever time your developers give you and double it. And that's probably plus a few more months when things will actually launch. So we came up with the idea, we briefed the app in, we started development. 13 months later only did we launch the app. And we still had full-time jobs, right? So we knew we needed to go get funding. I remember my first order, actually, just before we talk about funding. I had just come from a meeting at AB InBev, actually, while I was working at Google. And I was driving back to Google's office, and I got a WhatsApp message saying, you have an order. And I was like, well, that wasn't us. That wasn't me. I called Enrico. I'm like, did you place an order? He's like, no. We had a real customer order. And we were still really in our infancy, to the point where I had to book an Uber to go to that bottle store, call the Uber and say, hi, I'm not there, but I'd like you to please just go inside this bottle store, fetch this order, and deliver it not to me, to someone else in some other city. and they thought I was crazy, but the order actually got delivered. So we were scaling this thing really, I think there was, behind the curtain things were crazy, but in front of the curtain to the customer, we had an app, you pressed buttons, drinks came, it worked. But we knew that we couldn't keep doing it this way. We had got it to the point now that it needed at least one of us to go full time, so we needed to get funding. And we came and we presented at many incubators and events like this. And one we ended up on was Shark Tank, which I don't know if you guys know Shark Tank. It's a show for investors to promote on TV, and it was on Mnet in South Africa. We pitched on Shark Tank. It was quite intense. You had 1 3-minute pitch, and the sharks were not very, very nice to us. But we got 3 offers from that, and out of that we got our first round of investment, investors that stuck with us the whole way through. And that allowed one of us to actually jump ship and go full-time into the business, which I guess at any point in your entrepreneurial, the first thing there for me is at any point in your entrepreneurial experience, if you can start a business while someone else is still paying you, that's fantastic, and grow to a point where you actually need to jump ship and go full-time, and that's what we did. We were scaling the business really well, and the way the app worked really is we would partner with an existing liquor store. We do about a 5-kilometer radius around that store for delivery. And any customer in that radius would then be able to deliver and get drinks delivered in 60 minutes, very much how your food delivery apps work. But we were going store by store, and I think we had got to about 30 stores, but we had made 30 individual stores. We had to set up 30 individual menus, 30 individual pricing schemes. We had to, with each of those bottle stores, create a rebate so that we actually had margin that we could make, and the business just did not, in that sense, seem scalable to us. So we knew we needed a retail partner. And back in 2018 already, we approached Pick n Pay, and we were able to strike up a pilot with them, initially in just 1 store here in Joburg, Pick n Pay on Nickel. We rolled out to 3 more stores, and with the pilot going so well, we actually integrated with them into their ERP or SAP system that allowed us to then get stock, pricing, and inventory done properly, and allowed us to roll out to a lot more stores across the country. So we had rolled out to about 60 Pick n Pay liquor stores across the country, and our business was growing in triple-digit figures year on year, and things were going really, really well. And that brings us to what we all know has happened in the last year, right? Then COVID happened, and for us, that wasn't just a global pandemic, because you'd think at first, global pandemic, more people at home, people are going to want delivery of things, and that is true. But for us, the challenge was South Africa actually banned liquor, right? And this was the product that we had built our app on for the last 4 years or 5 years. We had built our product, we had built an app to be able to deliver liquor to people's houses. So our business was facing an existential crisis. And I guess the first thing that really struck us was the fear that our baby that we've built over the last 4 years is now going to be done. We had 14 staff at the time, 18 staff at the time who were working for us, and we thought we had a responsibility to these people. So we were really scared, I guess, at first. Fear really gripped us, but I think that we knew that we had all of the tools and systems that were really needed during this time, right? We had an app that people could shop off of. We had a delivery network that could get goods to people's homes, and we knew now more than ever people needed to stay safe in their homes, and there was a demand for this. So we knew we had to pivot our business. To take you through a bit of a timeline of it, this all happened in literally 4 days. The last day we could sell liquor was Thursday, the 26th of March, if I remember correctly. On the Friday, we met with Pick n Pay and we said, well, we're in trouble here, we can't sell it, but you guys, on the Pick n Pay side, they came to us and said, our e-commerce orders have really spiked, and it's a 2-week lead time for them to be able to deliver groceries to people. So we want your same-day delivery service to help us deliver groceries sooner. And we were like, well, we had the same idea. We also need to pivot and save our business. So on the Friday, we agreed commercials, and by the Monday, we went live with a grocery delivery pilot in partnership with Pick n Pay. By the Tuesday, we rolled out to 50 stores, and by the end of the second week, we were in over 90 stores across the country. And the results have been really, really good for us. It's culminated in Pick n Pay acquiring our business on the 1st of December. We grew over 715% last year, and it's been quite a journey. We were able to double our team of people working within our business. We were able to probably triple the amount of drivers doing deliveries for us. So in a time that I think was very difficult for a lot of people, we were able to be a story, a positive story, which was one that was quite hard to deal with, because when you're telling people how great things are going and everyone's like, it's all fucked, it was quite difficult to deal with. But I'm quite proud of what we were able to do and achieve in that time. And the fact that we could pivot our business in 4 days, the fact that we could save the jobs of the people who had really committed to us and bought into our vision of what we were trying to do, and the fact that that then culminated in us being able to be acquired by one of the largest corporates in the country in Pick n Pay. So what I wanted to quickly take you through is some of the lessons learned in this 5-year journey that we've been on. And the first for me is ideas are worthless, execution is everything. And for the startups in the room, you probably know this, but everyone's had an idea to start a business. You would not believe the number of people that told us we stole the idea when we launched bottles. You were like, I had an idea to have an alcohol delivery app. You stole my idea. I'm getting lawyers to sue you. At least 50 people contacted us through various channels telling us the same thing. And the reality is, guess what? They may have had the idea before us, or we may have had it before them. I can't tell you. I don't even think we were the first alcohol delivery app. We definitely weren't the first one globally, but we may not even have been the first one locally. The only difference is that we actually went out there and did it. We took the idea we had and we've started executing. And you've got to start somewhere. You just got to start doing it. And I think the entrepreneurs that will be successful are the ones that are going to be doers. The second principle, or the second lesson for me, and this is a book I'm currently reading called Working Backwards, and it's insights and stories from Amazon. It's written by 2 executives that worked in Amazon for over a decade, is start with the end goal in mind. And what they refer to here is, if you're going to launch a business or a new product, try and write the press release for that business or new product right now. And don't write it in business terms. I think a lot of us, we do business plans, right? Write it in customer terms, right? And I think the word they use here is customer obsession. And I think that's part of why Amazon's has done really, really well. But start with the end goal in mind and try and put it into terms that if I was talking to any one of you in this room, I could understand it and you could understand it. And I think that's kind of what we did, right? We had a very simple insight. We knew that people like to drink, and we knew there was an issue with drinking and driving, and we knew that who wouldn't want to press a button and have drinks magically appear in 60 minutes. And we defined our mission as we want to be the preferred way for people to order alcohol. And we stuck to that mission throughout. The only thing that's changed in that entire mission is now we want to be the preferred destination for people to order groceries and drinks. But the mission has really stayed the same, and we've had our customer at the front of our mission throughout. The next one is a principle from a book called The Lean Startup, which is called MVP, or Minimum Viable Product. And this is to say, if you have an idea and you want to start something, try and find what is the simplest form that you can build something and put it in front of customers and see if there's actually demand for it and whether it'll work. And in our case, I don't even think we built a minimum viable product. We went and built an app. It took us 13 months, right? There were probably simpler ways we could have done it. Could have taken orders through WhatsApp. Could have taken orders through an email capture form. But I think this is a principle that is really, really important for any startup starting out. And we were able to do this with 3 tools that didn't exist 10 years ago, right? We built a very basic web app. We had no delivery infrastructure and no logistics tech. There was nothing behind the curtain. It was literally us and 20 phones booking Ubers and calling Ubers at some stage. It was madness. We used WhatsApp to communicate to the stores, which was a way for us to figure out an order had come in, they'd accepted it, and gave us a line of communication. And we used Facebook as a tool to be able to market and get users, right? We were able, with both Facebook and Google, to actually do geolocation ads around each. So you'd put the coordinates of the store in and you do a 5-kilometer radius and you only target people within that area. And as a result, it meant we were able to use 3 tools that really didn't exist 10 years ago and string them together to build something that actually worked to customers, and that allowed us to raise funding and that allowed us to really grow. But in any business, if you're trying to start, try and narrow it down to what is the simplest version of this that you can put in front of a customer and start to learn whether there's actually demand and whether they want to do it. The next principle is fail fast, and I mean this is a quote that I'm sure you guys know. But I think in failing fast, you need to, I think for me at least as an entrepreneur, I hold on to my ideas and I fall in love with my own ideas. And to be able to sacrifice my own ideas when customers tell me directly that my ideas are not actually what they want is a difficult thing. But it's an important thing to do, and it's an important thing to be able to do quickly. And I can give you a few examples of how we've done this wrong in my time. One of the features that we wanted to build in the initial version of the app, which we thought was really, really important, was split the bill. Because back in that stage, Uber was doing split the bill, and we thought it was really, really cool. And I think we probably lost 3 to 6 months of development time trying to figure out how to split the bill. Because split the bill comes with a lot of complexity around payments. You're now sending payment requests to multiple recipients, and you need to go through validation for the payments for each of those recipients. And we just got caught in a loophole here that really wasn't adding any value to us. Because by the way, when we eventually launched Split the Bill, no one used it. Absolutely no one. But it was something that we kind of held on to, and we didn't really think, okay, why don't we launch without this, test and learn, and figure out if this would be. There was another good example of this is at some stage we decided we were going to rebuild our full tech stack, and we brought in new developers to do that. And they convinced us of the new tech stack we needed to do, and we spent 9 months and a lot of money trying to rebuild our tech stack, and eventually we actually had to pull the plug and realize this was not the right way for us to go. We need to stick with our current developers, and we needed to work on what we already had, right? But that was 9 months, a lot of money, and it wasn't failing fast. It was failing very slowly, because in those 9 months, we didn't do any incremental dev on the product we already had in front of consumers. So I wish I had failed faster in some things. The next lesson for me is tenacity, and this was actually a gif of a dog humping a little teddy bear, and I'm sorry if that would have hurt any of your eyes. But like that dog humping that teddy bear, he has tenacity. Any entrepreneur in this room, if you want to be successful, you need to have that tenacity. You need to have that passion and drive that makes sure that no matter what roadblock hits you, because you're going to hit many, many roadblocks. There are so many times where you're going to think it's all over and you want to give up. But if you don't have the tenacity and resilience to push through those, you really aren't going to be a successful entrepreneur. There were many times in our journey where we thought it was all over. We heard rumors that Takealot was going to launch an alcohol delivery app 6 months before we launched one. We thought it was over. We went down this journey, as I said, now trying to rebuild our tech. Another competitor launched. They had a better app than us. We thought it was over. We thought it would be over many times, but we constantly picked ourselves up and held on to what our mission and vision was and made sure that we passionately kept driving that. And that's really what I think got us through and made us partially successful. And with that tenacity, I think for me, something I've learned is the importance of partnerships. And I'm sure there's many entrepreneurs in the room here. Some of you probably doing it on your own, some in partnerships. One thing I would recommend to you is try and find a partner that you can trust, because the journey for being an entrepreneur is very difficult. And having a partner who can help pick you up when things are tough and that you can help pick up when things are tough is super important, because there's going to be moments when you want to throw the towel in, but that's when your partner will be there for you and tell you no. And vice versa, you need to say. And I love this quote. It's like the marriage without the fornication under the consent of the king. Sorry, that's more appropriate. My French is a little bit better now. The partnership that I've built with my co-founder was one that's super important for me, and it's helped me push to the point that we are here today. The second partnership for us that was really, really important was our partnership with Pick n Pay. And we partnered with them back in 2018 already. And that meant that when COVID happened, we had a 2-year relationship of trust with them, that they knew who we were and what our business was about, and they could trust us to say, go and pivot this thing in 4 days. If it completely failed, it wasn't just going to be us looking bad, it was going to be Pick n Pay looking bad. But they needed to have the trust that we actually were able to do this, and that it was going to be for the better of them and the better for us. And that was built off a 2-year strong partnership that we built with them. So pick the partners, pick your co-founder, and pick other businesses that you can partner with that can really help you on your journey. And then final slide for me is just in terms of where to from here. Now, we've been acquired by Pick n Pay, and my new challenge, and myself and my co-founder's new challenge, is how we integrate a startup or a growing tech business that was agile with a big corporate that doesn't act and move in the same way. But And for some people, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, you wouldn't want to work in corporate again. For us personally, I started my career in corporate. I spent 10 years in corporate. And as you scale a business, you end up realizing that all the things you hated about corporate, you need to start building into your business to make it work. That's the funny thing, right? All those systems and structures that you're going like, these things are stupid. I need to break these. This is not allowing me to move fast enough. Are things that when you get to a certain size and scale, you end up building the exact same things in. So it's kind of a virtuous circle that I see. And I think what makes me quite excited about being part of a corporate again is I have a very new challenge now. I have to integrate a startup into a big corporate and figure out how we can still keep the heart and soul of what we were doing and be agile and move fast and grow in a very exciting space in e-commerce, but within Pick n Pay. How can we break their rules, but how can we also use what they are as a big business and the teams that they have to really help us? And that for me is an exciting mission, and one that I'm quite happy to take on as we try and build one of the biggest e-commerce businesses, not just in South Africa, but in Africa in general. So that's all from me, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your journey. Don't worry.